build links and semi-written guide in the description. Thank y'all who suggested I do that. On this channel, I'm doing my best to find builds that won't get instantly nerfed. This build will probably get slightly nerfed, but its playstyle will stay intact and will always be viable. Also, this video is more in depth. Please let me know if that just gets too boring or long and you prefer the shorter, less in depth video. I bring you the God Mode BattleMage, clearing level 160 maps for speed runs with no signs of slowing down. Do you like critting for 1 mil, 2 mil, 4 mil? Do you want to crit like that multiple times a second? Do you like setting up giant groups of enemies just to give them a walk-away knockout? Well then, welcome to the jungle. This is very similar to my last build, and trust me, I've been working hard on builds that don't use the same spells, but right now there's a huge viability until you get certain uniques. I'm looking at a giant sniper build, but I need to find a unique. Once everyone has leveled more, I'll start doing more unique driven builds, which opens up viability. Yes, it's still using bleeding edge. I'm as sad about that as you are. Alright, let's go over abilities first. Modifiers. What we're looking at here is Vortex pulls in multiple times. That is absolutely crucial. We are keeping our wisdom at 0, so our chance to apply ailments is incredibly low. The way we still get our ailment stacks is by just hitting as often as humanly possible. So Vortex pulls in multiple times, and then the Vortex damages them. So it automatically does its pulsing damage by itself, but it also does a pull, and now so it's hitting them twice. So now you have a 10% chance, basically. And then we get skills allows casting 2 vortexes, so we're casting it twice, so we have a 10% chance. Now we have a 20% chance because we're hitting them twice each time. So we actually wind up, it's basically like having 20% wisdom. Vortex duration, that's optional, I like it. Ailment on enemies, optional, I like it. Increase area effect, optional, I like it. Tears of Ethiel, you have to have alter skill that deals damage over time. That makes it so it's hitting him multiple times. Again, our ailment chance is low, so we have to do that. We convert to frost to fire damage. We are doing this right now because the frost wasn't proccing our passive that gives us damage increase, Immortal Offering. It wasn't proccing that, so I converted it over to fire damage, and I converted this over to lightning damage. So Tears becomes fire damage, deals multiple, we increase the area of effect, and I do increases damage, but more importantly increases the willpower cost, because this helps our rotation. Now this costs 365, and Bleeding Edge costs 255. So with every cast of this, we get, 1.3 casts of Bleeding Edge, which is nice. Alright, for Fireball or Consuming Embers, convert it to lightning damage. Again, right now we have to do this. It kind of messes up our the build a little bit, but until they fix the frost damage, that is the way it is. And while it's doing this, this one is absolutely necessary and adds 1 projectile at increased cost. So again, increasing the willpower cost, meaning we can bleeding edge more often. It also it's adding an extra projectile, so it's getting more ailment stacks on there as well. Another increased projectile, so again, more ailment stacks. Now we have 3 of them, so our 14% chance is now a more than 42% chance-ish. Increased area effect and increased cast speed. Cast speed is absolutely necessary because this is our willpower dump skill. So you can see how fast it casts there, and now much slower. So you absolutely have to have that one. So for now, these are the 3 you have to have. Increase willpower cost, change it to lightning damage, and increase cast speed. Other ones are optional. If I didn't have to run converting to lightning, I would do this projectiles no longer collide or explode. Instead, they gain increased area of effect, increase air enemies. It applies stacks like crazy that way. Alright, Bleeding Edge. Cast a Cursor, absolutely necessary. Well, I guess if you like being up in people's faces, you can not use this, but this makes the build safer, because the higher levels you go, you kind of need to be safer and safer and safer. Otherwise, you have to put more and more into defense. So having this ranged instead of melee matters a lot. Continues to spin after being thrown, absolutely necessary. Increase ailment damage per stack. Thank you. I don't have your names right now. I'm not going to look them up. I should have written them down, but I'll put your names on the screen. Thank you for the 2 of you guys who suggested I test this out. I honestly just assumed the scaling was going to be so minor, and our build was already so good that this wasn't going to be necessary. It is absolutely ridiculous. So get this. I don't have the numbers on what it increases, but because we have 5 different skills that are applying stacks, we have 10 stacks to start with, plus 5 plus 5, 20, plus 5 plus 5, 30 stacks. We have 150 stacks. So this is increasing whatever it multiplies by, it's times 150. So this build, it stacks huge. Projectile speed, I like this one. If you're a streamer or you just really like big numbers, you can reduce rage cost and projectile speed with increased damage and increased damage. Your numbers will get bigger, your DPS might go up, but I prefer the play style of these, and for me, play style matters. As long as the build is viable and clearing content, I don't need to absolutely look ridiculous. It might help my YouTube channel if I try to do like absolutely ridiculous stuff, but I'm trying to make viable stuff for you guys that's fun to play. For Mark, we are doing adds curse stacks. Curse makes it so they are taking more damage. And right now, we can make them take 34% more damage, and this is multiplicative. So if we're already doing 500% increased damage to them, or more than that, 500, 600, 700 increased multiplicative damage, this then gets multiplied. So if it's 500, this is now worth 150%, 170% increased damage. So that is huge. And then on top of that, marked enemies are more vulnerable to damage 3 times, as well as in its ability. So it is a huge damage multiplier. So we are taking all of the damage we had here, everything here, and then we are multiplying it again. So this was a multiplier, and then this is a multiplier, because this is increasing the damage done, and this is increasing the damage taken. So they're multiplying themselves. So whatever the numbers are for these, we don't have. It spreads to surrounding enemies on death. So actually, like on a boss or something, I can cast it on a small mob, and when that dies, it'll spread to the boss, but you know, that's optional. Aether Jump. Alright, we kind of went over this on the last build. Reduces cooldown, so now instead of having a cooldown, it just doubles its cost every single time you cast it. And then I also get reduces cooldown, but it has no cooldown anymore, so why the heck would I do this? The reason for that is it reduces the amount of time it takes for it to reset back down to its base cost, which right now is 44. I personally also do reduces the willpower cost, just so I can cast it more times, because it's doubling each time. So this 28 quickly becomes 56, quickly becomes 112, quickly becomes 224. The other option is increases movement speed after casting, and increases attack and spell casting speed. The attack and spellcasting speed's nice. It's not huge amount, but it lasts a really long time, as well as the movement speed. So what I do is I dump willpower, move around the map, and then I run and dodge a few times. And by the time I've done that, I can start casting it. Oops, I waited a little too short there. But yeah, it'll have reset, and you're able to cast it over and over. So that is the skills. Let's go over the build. Alright, for ability points, I basically dump everything into Ferocity until I reach 50% crit chance. So as my gear improves, I actually put less and less into Ferocity. I put points into Toughness until I'm not getting one shot. Really, I put maybe 1 point into Toughness each level. There's levels I definitely skip Toughness altogether if I'm not getting one shot at all. And lastly, everything else that's left over from having 50% crit and not getting one shot goes into Agility, because getting stuck in an animation kills you. So Agility is actually a defensive ability. That covered. Let's get into the gear. Let's go into gear. Okay, before you see this, all the other builds, I was running like level 23 gear at a level 60 character, because I'm leveling so many characters, testing so many builds, and it takes so long to sort through gear. It literally doubled the amount of time. So I was more worried about getting content out, and if I can make the build viable without gems, without good gear, then it proves that it's a solid build, not solid gear. The problem is most people are getting really good gear, putting out a build, and then talking about how good it is. Well, your gear is kind of carrying there. It's not the build itself. That changed today. Last night I was getting like I said, I've tested like 20 every build video I put out, and I know it's so much bleeding edge. The problem is I've tested sniper, I've tested mage, I've tested all these things, and I can't get them to be viable. So I'm at least 10, if not 20 rerolls on 3 different characters trying to get builds viable. I've spent more time building characters than I have playing the game. I'm not kidding. That changed. I started farming this because I was getting burnt out and I wanted some good gear. I wanted to see some fun numbers and start pushing the higher level content. This dagger is ridiculous, obviously. 502 damage on a one-hander. Life leech is really good to have. If you're going to get a status ailment score, I personally would get elemental because this is the only one that's not hitting them a bunch of times when you cast it. Material wouldn't be bad, but stasis you're going to apply really easily. So I would be doing just elemental. Flat damage is huge. Crit chance score is huge, so that's great. As far as this, we are looking for as low as, for the catalyst, we're looking for as low transfer time as possible. And then you can get it down to about 50%. For me, just because I'm trying to be speedy, if it says above 60%, I just delete it. I don't even read the stats. If you're a really fast reader, obviously you can do that better than me, but like each item takes me like 5-10 seconds when you're looking at 100 items. Spell life leech is not bad to have. Spell damage is not bad to have. Spell crit is okay. For me, the spell casting speed, I really like that on here. So that's why I'm using this, is the transfer time is low enough, and spell casting speed is on there. For these 2 pieces are absolutely necessary. They have to be heavy. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, on the top left there, it talks about helmet heavy. You'll see that there's a gauntlet bruiser. There's sorcerer, there's rogue. It might be mage, rogue, heavy, bruiser. That means heavy means it's going to have only resistance score on that top part of it. So what we're really looking for is, I think this piece of gear has it. If you can get these stats on one of these, you're going to be golden, because you'll notice it says 186 all resistance scores and then plus percentage all resistance scores. So if you have that on a heavy piece of armor, this could easily have 1,000 total resistances. This could easily have 600 total resistances, or higher, quite frankly, significantly higher. And my resistances aren't crazy right now. I take that back. I'm already at 80% resistances. So if you could imagine I doubled up on these, I would be at 85, 87% resistances. Holy crap, junk. And I'm still at 67,000 HP. So my effective HP is absolutely ridiculous. Okay, so as far as stats we're looking for, now we've gotten what you have to have out of the way. Well, actually, let's talk about it real quick. So on all of your support pieces, so necklace, ring, and belt can roll support gems. These only roll support gems, and you have a 1 in 4 chance of getting a support 3. So go ahead and roll gems on all of those quickly, because it's not gonna cost anything. And then get transfer time reduction. I believe that's amethyst into all of those. The catalyst, don't freaking bother. I did it's something like a 1 in 5,823 chance to run all 3 of these gems being support 3. So what you're looking for is 1 or 2 support 3, and if you can, a defense 2. A defense 3. So if you see all 3s on there, no matter if it's support or defense, just leave it where it's at. I got 2 support 2s and 1 defense. That was fine for me. Some point I'll roll that. We are looking for transfer time reduction between willpower and rage. Absolutely need that. And cooldown reduction. It doesn't need to be on your chest or helm. This is just for any piece of gear. In fact, on chest and helm, I'd rather this be resistances, but this is such good stats that it is what it is. Once you get enough cooldown reductions, you can use anomaly every single time you fight something. So that is big. And then transfer time reduction, you'll notice, is almost instant for me. So I can just cast non-stop. And I noticed it getting nearly instant. It was about 75% efficiency once I had a total of 135 positive from gear. I'm not counting the negative here. So with the negative there, once I had about 80% total, that adds up. What did I just say? 75%? Yeah, okay. So the numbers add up. Okay, that's cool. All right, so I guess our goal would be to get to 100%. Nice. I don't know how that math just added up in my head, because I hadn't been counting the fact that there's a negative on here, so I was just like adding up how much positive do I have, 135 positive. Cool. So once you have about 75% total, including the negative, is when it starts feeling really nice. Okay, transfer reduction, resistances. Attack speed score is not that good. Don't get it if you can avoid. Toughness is good. Health is good. Resistances are good. On rings, I really try and look for HP because you can get so much HP on them. Same with necklaces. This isn't my main necklace. I think I was just testing this one. Because it's got one ailment stack inflicted. It was just not necessary with this build. But max HP on your rings if you can. Percent damage isn't bad. Percent resistance score isn't bad. Transfer time is good. All resist, that's amazing. Move speed is good, but we're already so mobile that it's nice, but I wouldn't worry about it too much. As much flat damage as 2 attacks. Flat damage 2 attacks is very, 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 very good if you can get it. This is the rage and willpower cost reduction. Ignore it. I was testing that out. If you're running all willpower or you're running all rage build, you want this, but for what we're doing, we don't need. I tested it. It's just not very, very helpful. Unless you're Zizarin and you're trying to run that Frost Nova build. If that doesn't get nerfed, I don't know what does. That build was ridiculous. I can't believe he found that. That was awesome to watch. But yeah, that's an example of just something that's he is just broken. It's just broken. It's really fun to play, but you're not actually playing the game anymore. You're holding down one button while running in circles. Super cool though. Super fun. Yeah, that's the gear. All right. Yeah, that's it. That's it for this segment. All right, thank you very much. All right, I'm going to leave a link in the description. This video is already so long, and I apologize for that. Let me know if this style is helpful for you or if it just becomes too boring to watch. Let's go. Mainly, I'll just go over which order I would go in for leveling. The only place we exit is through here, so because of that, we come here, grab the crit. I personally, if I was just leveling, I would go straight for the life leech and into ailment damage, increases our damage. Then I'd come up through here and grab stasis damage. This is going to be our biggest damage multipliers, making it so we're leeching more life. At that point, I'd come up through here and I would grab the resistances, the health to this point. I would get rid of these. I would come up through here like this is exactly how I would do it. And, you know, eventually I'd grab these two. We're going to come up through here, grab your resistance doubling on heavy armor. Then I'd come through here, grab the dodge roll, grab the crit damage, grab this crit damage, and grab these 2 stamina points. At that point, I'd come through here and start grabbing first I would grab the stamina point and regen, and then cooldown reductions for everything, and then finally I would grab the attack speed. That's a rough outline. That'll get you going real quick. Once you have all of these nodes in this node, you're gonna feel strong. So however many that takes, what is that? Probably like level 30 or so. You'll start feeling pretty strong. This here, this is also good to have. Eventually, once I get enough lifesteal on my gear, I'll probably drop all this extra lifesteal. I don't know where I'll put those points yet, but that'll free up a good 6-7 points. So, in my gear, we'll apply the same amount. All right, that's it for this. Try and keep this short. All right, I've been JK Peace. Thank you very much. Have a good one.